All right, continuing our breaking news coverage of this 2-week ceasefire that was just announced by President Trump moments before we went on the air. There is still a lot that is very uncertain. For example, whether Iran will live up to its end of the deal and whether the ceasefire will even last. Joining me now is Evelyn Farkas, Executive Director of the McCain Institute and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State of Defense, and Andrew Ghalili, current Policy Director for the National Union for Democracy in Iran. Evelyn, I was just speaking with General Wesley Clark, former Supreme Allied Commander for NATO, and he told me his sources are telling him that there's a fracturing underway inside the Iranian leadership, that those affiliated with the foreign ministry have had enough of this war, while the hardliners are saying, we're winning, don't give up. And that goes to a statement that just came out from Iran's National Security Council calling for all political factions to support the talks, and said they are going forward with the approval of the Supreme Allied Leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think that sounds right, Elizabeth. There has historically always been this tension between the diplomats in Iran and, those working for the foreign ministry and the security forces, the heads of the security forces, the IRGC. And the reality is that it depends on what's happening in the outside world, which one comes out on top. But I think right now, the political leadership, the diplomats have prevailed. And likely the security forces are going along with this because they don't have really an alternative way out either that they could provide for the political leadership, a vision for how this ends.
But very quickly, Evelyn, is there a danger that there will be a complete fracture, that we're negotiating with the political arm of the Iranian government while the hardliners in the Iranian government are saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and still make trouble, we're going to still launch attacks or lay mines?
It's possible, but I think the hardliners rely on the theocratic ayatollahs and the supreme leader for their legitimacy.
Okay.
And of course, those leaders need the security forces to keep their grip on power, literally. So I don't see such a fracture. Others may disagree who have maybe more day-to-day insight, but okay. I think that there's a symbiotic relationship.
Andrew, you're well-sourced in Iran. What are you hearing about the mood? Were Iranians aware of these apocalyptic threats from President Trump? Are they, I know it's the middle of the night there right now, but what is your sense about what's happening inside that country?
First of all, just on your previous question, I just want to push back a little bit on the framing of like hardliners versus reformists and just make the point that there has been no regime change in Iran, and the regime is hardline. Whatever they send out as a reformist face is just still, representing the regime itself, and in that sense, they are united in terms of, their opposition and chanting death to America. As far as the mood in Iran, it's hard to know exactly what's happening on the ground when the regime has, enforced an internet blackout for over a month now. But we can ask ourselves, why would the regime keep it off for this long? If Iranians were rallying behind the flag, as some try to tell you, or condemning the strikes, you would think the regime probably would want the whole world to see that. So they don't want the world to know what's actually happening inside Iran right now, and that tells us a lot. What we do know is that since the beginning of this war, and really since millions of Iranians rose up in January, the biggest fear inside Iran right now is that the regime survives at the end of this, and that they're left in place with the capability to push back and crack down on any uprising. President Trump, frankly, was right when he was saying the Iranian people want to see more strikes and they get nervous when they don't hear about strikes. This, of course, does not mean that they were asking for their water supply and electricity to be cut off, which, yes, I do think many of them were aware of those threats. But they do expect for the United States and Israel and everyone involved in this war, especially President Trump, who said help is on the way, to come through on that promise. And what that looks like is targeting the regime's repressive apparatus more and more. So a 2-week ceasefire is not necessarily what they would hope to see.
Yeah, at this point, it seems like, given what President Trump has said, that reopening the Strait of Hormuz and over the weekend talking about no nuclear weapon, that those are his priorities, as opposed, he's saying we've already achieved regime change, while every expert like yourself says, no, it's regime reshuffling.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been no regime change, right? New faces at the negotiating table don't change what this regime is. The IRGC is still largely intact. The Parliament Speaker, Ghalili, who it's unclear who we're speaking to, but if that's who we're speaking to, he led the chants of death to America and death to Israel in the Parliament. He's bragged about beating protesters with sticks. He had massive corruption scandals. He came up through the IRGC, so he's entrenched in this system, and he's clearly a large part of this. He doesn't even present himself as opposition to the system. So there absolutely has not been regime change. And while the military objectives have largely been accomplished, I would caution anyone, especially President Trump, to call that a victory. In the short term, perhaps it can look like a victory, but anything that leaves this regime in place, especially if we do it in the form of a deal that provides sanctions relief, will provide the regime the path to become North Korea in the same way that Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned when he was warning against the JCPOA on the Senate floor 11 years ago.
Evelyn, we are hearing reporting that the Iranians are saying that this current deal that they're negotiating would leave the enriched uranium in Iran. How is that a victory? Even if it would take them a long time to dig it up and make a bomb out of it, it's still leaving that incredibly crucial, highly enriched and dangerous stockpile in place.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth, this is exactly what has to be negotiated now over this 2-week time period, because we do recognize that, a nuclear Iran would be even more dangerous than Iran is today, and we don't want a nuclear armed Iran. But in order to achieve that, frankly, the best way is through, getting the UN inspectors back in on the ground, securing the material. If Iran would agree to have it removed, great, but this is what's going to have to be negotiated. I'm afraid we don't really have the strongest negotiating position right now because Iran created an opportunity for themselves by closing the strait.
Are they just going to give that up, that power that they discovered that they have over the entire planet?
That's also something they'll have to negotiate away. They have that power, but don't forget that UAE and Oman also are located geographically right there on the strait. They should have a say as well, and they've been behind the scenes negotiating and talking to the Iranians, putting pressure on the Iranian regime to make a deal. So I suspect that Iran will also have to compromise in that as well.
All right, well, we're just getting word from a senior White House official saying that this is a win for President Trump. In the meantime, almost simultaneously, we're hearing that at 7:50 p.m., literally 4 minutes ago, Saudi civil defense says early warnings have been issued in the eastern region to an alert of potential danger. And we're hearing from our correspondent in Israel that sirens are going off there as Iranian missiles continue to fly. Again, the question, which comes first? Do they stop attacking? Do we stop attacking? When is the strait reopened? There's a lot unknown and a lot hanging in the balance and in uncertainty tonight. Evelyn Farkas, Andrew Ghalili, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.